Welcome. What is up? Welcome to This Week in the Mixer post-draft draft recap edition. Gonna get straight to it. Gotta make this quick. This is my commitment to the brand, commitment to the product. I'm here. I'm in my parking structure at lunch. People walking by, risking looking like even more of a sociopath than people already think. But this is my commitment to you guys in the league. I know both of you clamor for this thing every week, so yeah, I want to make sure I get it out to you in a timely manner, because again, that is my commitment. It's going to be a theme going over this, and just the league in general. The theme for this year: commitment to winning it, commitment to you guys. That's what we're all about this year. All right, I want to get straight into it. I'm going to do team by team recap, who we drafted, and I'm going to give draft grades because I know we love draft grades so much, and mine are honestly going to be better than the trash computer generated ones that reward selecting best available. So, with the one spot, we have that fraud, Sean, and I just want to get this out of the way right now. Just the disrespect from the fraud, Sean. Not even making a voice phone call or a video phone call for the draft. Their defending champ wasn't there to accept the Dirk. For shame. 7 years bad fantasy luck to you, my friend Sean. If you're even real, the people are asking, people are saying online that Sean is just a Russian deepfake experiment thought out from the minds of pig chimeras and lizard people. So that's who we are tasked to rip the precious jerk away from this year. The fraud, the phony. All right, so we're gonna get right into his recap. His team ended up, he had Jameis, Big Ben at QB, Kamara and Gurley as his two starting running backs. He's got wide receivers Mike Evans, Robert Woods, Calvin Ridley, tight end Zach Ertz, defense Minnesota. On his bench, he's got Marlon Mack, Royce Freeman, Carlos Hyde, Rip, Kareem Hunt, Corey Davis, Sammy Watkins, and Cortland Sutton. So he's got, possibly the best running back crew in the draft. He's got, I would say, above average wide receivers, great wide receiver core. He has a top 3 tight end with Zach Ertz. I don't like his quarterbacks. He's got Big Ben, who is Antonio Brownless. I know Matt was providing the excellent analysis from one preseason game that the Steelers offense is going to be the S pumping machine, but we'll see how that goes. The preseason Warriors end up not being fully representative of what the team can do throughout the season, and that applies for players as well. Jameis is essentially the Amari Cooper of the quarterback position. He's just not good. He has Mike Evans, plays in a division where they put up points like crazy, and I believe, Atlanta has a dome, New Orleans has a dome. Tampa Bay's outdoors, but it's grass, and it's not like weather's ever an issue there. And I'm spacing on the 4th team in the division right now. AFC South. I'm spacing. I believe it's another dome team because I know that's like the dome division, and he got benched last year for Fitzpatrick. Technical issues. So, yeah. he's not good. He is. Anyway, I can never get behind a team too much that has Jameis. Jameis as a QB. So, overall it's still a pretty good squad though. His bench is okay, but this is what your bench looks like when you draft best available. There's not that much upside. I mean, maybe Corey Davis has some upside. Are you really going to roster Kareem Hunt for the 8 weeks that he's inactive? Sammy Watkins is hurt more often than not, so I mean he filled his IR slot, proactively, so that's good. I was gonna give Sean a grade of an A- based on mainly his starting running backs and wide receiver, and pairing that with a nice tight end as Zach Ertz. However, since he didn't show up for the draft, he gets an incomplete. So, sorry, man. Can't get a grade if you don't show up. Next up, we got Jeff. Jeff drafted his QBs Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, starting running backs Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook. For his wide receivers, his starters are Chris Godwin, Tyler Lockett, and Josh Gordon. His tight ends George Kittle. His defense is New England. On his bench, he has Austin Eckler, Matt Breida, Justice Hill, Darwin Thompson, Dare Ogunbowale, I think I got that right, Christian Kirk, and Michael Gallup. Overall, as with lots of players or lots of guys at the front end of the snake here, they have good starting running backs. His wide receivers have as much upside as they do question marks. Really surprised how early Chris Godwin went. I know he was hyped up by people a lot. I'm just going to say, as far as Chris Godwin goes, see Jameis Winston take. I just don't believe in him, and anybody who's going to rely on him for their fantasy production is, I don't know. I see that, especially with Godwin, he's gonna be, he's gonna be like those guys, one of those guys that just get hyped up by the pundits every year, but ultimately end up underachieving. We've seen it so many times, like Cordarrelle Patterson, Christy Michael. Who else? Lots of dudes. Definitely not Curtis Samuel this year though. So anyway, and then Lockett's pretty good. We'll have to see if he can match his touchdown production from last year. Maybe he can get a bump in targets. He went flashy with Kyler Murray as quarterback, which could pay off. We'll have to see what that offense looks like. I like Eckler on the bench. I was hoping to grab him. Went a little earlier than I expected. Breida's a good pick too. Justice Hill, a lot of upside there, but we'll have to see what that offense looks like as it matures with Lamar Jackson. They got Mark Ingram there too, so don't know how the ball is going to be distributed there in Baltimore. Dare Ogunbowale, I believe he's the third running back in that trash ass backfield that Tampa Bay has, the trash team in general, as you see my previous takes. Christian Kirk could be a nice pick. Gallup is supposed to be good. The wide receiver one in Dallas. So I like that. I like Josh Allen as a late quarterback that he grabbed. However, you got McCaffrey anchoring this team. But in general, I don't like the build of this team. Jeff, I'm sorry. Disclaimer. This is all just my opinion. It's totally subjective. Just like me and most family analysts, we don't know what the fuck's going to happen. We don't know who's going to be good and who's not going to be good. Yeah, we can project, but ultimately comes down to is a lot of it is guessing. There's guys in the first 2-3 rounds, maybe even 4 rounds, that pretty much what you can expect, but really after there, it's a crapshoot. Look back at our previous drafts and look at how many guys from like the 5th round and later who going into the season you're like, oh yeah, that's a steal. That's gonna, he's got huge potential. He's got an easy schedule, like all this planning, all this researching, but a lot of the guys just don't pan out. So, and with Jeff's team, I see a lot of those guys that they have this potential. They have the projected role, right? They're in good situations. They have youth on their side, but I just see a lot of dudes who, there might be some hits in here, but usually when you draft a lot of these guys that have upside and they haven't done much yet, more often than not, they don't pan out. So I've been guilty of making teams like this in the past. So, I just don't see enough veterans in this lineup. Big question mark with Godwin. Big question mark with Josh Gordon, if he can even play. Tyler Lockett was low volume last year. Josh Allen flashed late in the season, mostly doing it on his feet, which I don't know if he could reproduce. I feel like he just was fighting for his job, so he was just playing his freaking ass off to keep his job and running and putting up good fantasy numbers, but I don't know if that's sustainable. So anyway, Kittle, we'll see if he can replicate what he did last year as well. I expect him to, but again, one of those guys that could just be a one-year wonder. So I was kind of harsh on this grade, but I'm giving Jeff a C, and those are the reasons why. All right, so Danny, he took Baker and Tom Brady as his QBs. He got Saquon and Lev Bell for his running backs. He got Antonio Brown, Julian Edelman, and Alshon Jeffrey. Got David Njoku, the handcuff to Baker Mayfield. He got the LA Rams for his defense. On his bench, he has Darius Geis, Kenyon Drake, Dion Lewis, AJ Green, James Washington, Kenny Stills, and Phillip Rivers. So I really like the build of his starting lineup. Baker and Tom Brady. Tom Brady was really undervalued. However, Danny kind of negated that by taking him pretty early. I think he was a top 10 QB off the board, where I've seen him as low as like QB 20. But he was usually going like 14 or 15. Either way, I like that pick. He got, Baker is a question. Who knows what he's going to be like. All indicators are showing that he should be the real deal, but we'll have to see how that plays out. He got Saquon and Lev Bell. Really like his running backs. That's, there's like 3 teams here that have amazing running back or starting running backs, and Danny's definitely one of them. So that'll probably carry his team pretty far. He's got AB, Julian, and Alshon. Pretty good wide receiver group there. Edelman should provide stability week to week with his role as a high volume PPR receiver. And then Antonio Brown, will he be able to replicate what he did in Pittsburgh with Derek Carr throwing him the ball? I think so. Gruden will like to feed his studs, so I don't expect volume to be an issue. There's still some, not animosity, but it just came down today. He's getting fined for missing practices because of Helmetgate. So, is there going to be character issues? I think a lot of it's just for show. But overall, good wide receiver group. Alshon could, he could be a wide receiver one. He could be a top 12 receiver, top 10 receiver this year if he stays healthy. He's definitely on a good team. The bench is, I'd say average. He's got some upside with AJ Green. If he comes back from his injury and does well, that could really pay off. Kenyon Drake got named the starter today. Apparently he's fully healthy, so the Dolphins are in tank mode. So are they gonna have game script issue? Darius Geis is apparently fully healthy. He could have a lot of upside. Dion Lewis should get a lot of work because the Titans are going to be behind a lot. James Washington, I think that's a throwaway pick. I don't think he's going to see that much volume. I think he's the third wide receiver there behind Moncrief, and Juju and Vance McDonald will probably get more action, and so will James Conner. So he's like fifth priority as far as receiver goes. So that'll probably be a cut eventually. Rivers, good, probably the perfect third quarterback since he hasn't missed a game in however long, knock on wood. Kenny Stills, new team. Apparently he's the second wide receiver behind DeAndre. I don't know if I believe in the talent. We'll see. Overall, it's a pretty good team. Saquon and Lev and AB carry his along with his two decent quarterbacks. I don't like his bench. It's just missing a little bit of upside, and there's a lot of injury concerns on his bench. So, and we know that Danny has never had a problems with injuries or bad luck. So, good luck there. Overall, I give Danny a B+. All right, really gotta hurry this up. So Zach has Deshaun Watson, Carson Wentz, Zeke, James Conner, Brandon Cooks, Tyler Boyd, DJ Moore, Hunter Henry, Baltimore defense. For his bench, he has Tony Pollard, LaShawn McCoy, Madison, Will Fuller, Geronimo Allison, Dante Moncrief, and Jacoby Brissett. Overall, another group of great starting running backs. His wide receiver group has potential. Really like Brandon Cooks. Tyler Boyd should, if he could replicate what he did last year, that'll be a steal where he got him. DJ Moore's a question mark, but he definitely has some upside. He possibly has the best quarterback group as well with Deshaun Watson and Carson Wentz. Could easily be 2 top 5 quarterbacks right there. Balanced bench, he's got some upside. LaShawn McCoy gets a bump from joining the Chiefs. I really like Madison. Really like Fuller. Not so much Geronimo Allison. I like Dante Moncrief. I thought it was interesting in the draft. I think Zach went... So I went Valdez-Scantling ahead of Zach, and then he took Geronimo Allison, and then coming back, Danny took James Washington, and Zach took Dante Moncrief. So I just thought that was interesting. 2 picks in a row for Zach, just kind of going with the other option of the third wide receiver or second wide receiver on those high passing offenses. So overall, I gave Zach an A. His quarterbacks are great. Running backs are great. Receivers are overall, I would say average. God damn it. All right, apologies. It's a fucking shit show. We're doing live. All right. So yeah, overall, gave Zach one of the better grades. He got an A. Next up, my team, which of course I love since I drafted it. I got Jared Goff, Lamar Jackson, David Johnson, Josh Jacobs, Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen, Curtis Samuel. Jared Cook is my tight end. Dallas's defense, Melvin Gordon, Miles Sanders, Malcolm Brown, Dante Pettis, Valdez-Scantling, Deshaun Jackson, and Mecole Hardman. So I was really high on Goff, so happy I got him. Lamar Jackson is, kind of one of those boom bust guys. We'll have to see how he does. He doesn't throw for very much, but he should run for a lot, so I'm hoping that he stays healthy. David Johnson, a little devalued after being the top 3 pick last year, flirting with, the one spot. So, hopefully that Arizona offense rebounds and looks completely different. And let's see here. I got Josh Jacobs. My thought behind it, as I kind of said with the Antonio Brown evaluation earlier, Gruden really heavily leans on his guys. He doesn't distribute the ball around evenly too much. He really hones in on his studs. So they took Josh Jacobs in the first round with their second pick in the first round. I don't know. They took him early. He was the first running back off the board in the draft. Consensus top rookie running back. He hasn't been getting that much hype because he's on the Raiders and they haven't really produced a good running back. I think if he would have landed somewhere, imagine him in Pittsburgh, imagine him even in like Minnesota or Houston. Imagine where he'd be projected there. I think he would definitely be top 10 in everybody's rankings. I think he'd be around like 7, like that Joe Mixon, probably behind like Joe Mixon and Nick Chubb if he were on a better offense. And we don't know what the Raiders offense is going to be like. He can catch the ball, he can run the ball well. So I think he's going to get a lot more volume than people are expecting. I got Tyreek in the second round. I wish I maybe would have held off on him. It sounded like everybody was down. They might have just been busting my balls, but he was my second-rated wide receiver. Keenan Allen, we know what he can do. Curtis Samuel has some upside. I was happy to take Jared Cook kind of late. He's one of those high upside tight ends. Again, these are guys that I picked, so I'm going to love them all. I feel like I got a good balance of potential upside. Melvin Gordon could sink my team or could make my team, so that's a big question mark. Malcolm Brown is supposed to be the backup behind Gurley. I don't know why everybody kept taking Henderson. If you guys paid attention to preseason, Henderson was out there playing during the games, and Malcolm Brown was resting like Todd Gurley. They were treating him the same as Todd Gurley. So we'll see how that plays out, though. But yeah, like that steal, Dante Pettis was announced as like the one receiver for San Francisco after a lot of bullshit news in the preseason. So again, wait and see. Valdez-Scantling should be the number 2 receiver playing outside and slot, whereas Geronimo Allison, I believe, is just a slot guy. Rodgers has said a lot more positive things about Valdez-Scantling than he has about Geronimo Allison. Geronimo Allison has that, a lot of projectors, a lot of people who like spark scores, give him the treatment that he should be a stud, like a la Christine Michael, but he just doesn't seem to pan out, and he's always hurt. So that's why, I went with him over Geronimo Allison. Sean Jackson could boom. Mecole Hardman is running circles around people. He's like Tyreek Hill light. So, when Sammy Watkins gets hurt in week 3, I could have 2 Chiefs receivers. Maybe I'll use one of them as a trade piece, depending on how they do. But, obviously I love my team. I love my bench. So I gave myself an A-, trying to be objective as possible. I do think I like some other teams a little bit better. I wish I would have got somebody that really fell to me. Being in the middle of the draft, I don't think that there was as high of a potential for that. But anyway, I like my squad. I give myself an A-. I'm going to have to do a part 2 because I only got halfway through the team. So, that's part 1. We'll come back with part 2 and give some overall reaction, feedback, summary later. So yeah, catch you guys in a bit.